This is a video on how to break down 1911 or 1991, which are basically the same thing. I'm going to make another video that explains what the differences between the two are. But yeah, basically all 1911 breakdowns are pretty much the same, no matter if it's a Colt, Kimber, whatnot. I don't know every single one of them. I haven't seen every single 1911, so I'm sure there's probably some that are different. The majority are the same. This is your basic government issue 1911 or 1991 A1 is what this one actually is. Alright, so the first thing you want to do is get the buffer spring out, or recoil spring, which is inside here. Now you have this on the outside here. It goes around your barrel. It's called a barrel bushing. Alright, it's not a part of your slide. This is actually a separate piece on the outside of the barrel here. It's not connected to the slide. So the first thing you want to do is, of course, safety check it. I already did it before the video, but I'll do it again. There's no magazine inserted. Lock the slide back. See, it's all empty. Nothing in there. Alright, so we're good. Now, first thing you want to do, like I said, is get that spring out. So what you're going to have to do is you got to put the gun on safe. This one won't go on safe unless the hammer's back. Here's your safety. It goes up. See, I can't push it up. Put the hammer back. Goes right up. Now you see that notch in there? It actually keeps the slide from coming back. It keeps the hammer from going forward, and it keeps the slide from coming back. That's why you want to put it on, because you don't want this slide to move when you're trying to get this spring out. You can do it with the safety off, but you're just going to be fighting with the slide. The slide's going to move on you, and if the slide moves back, it's just going to make it harder for you. To make it easier, just lock that back so your slide can't go anywhere. Now you're going to want to push this, it's called the buffer plunger, down. You can see that moves. See how that moves in and out? It's hard to push too. It's got a lot of pressure on it. So sometimes it's easier if you use like a maybe a flathead screwdriver, or even like a coin or something. They're usually flat, but mine has a, this is an aftermarket. There's a different one I put on here. It's got a groove in it. It's kind of sharp, so it really sucks to push on it with your finger for a while. So you just throw like a quarter coin or something, wash or something on there. And when you do it, you want to push this in, and you're going to turn this barrel bushing. This moves left, it can turn left to right. The only thing that's keeping it from turning is that recoil plunger, okay? So you're going to push that in, and you're going to want to turn the bushing. And if you're looking down facing the barrel, you want to turn the bushing clockwise, the same way a clock goes. So there. I got it about halfway moved, just so you could see step by step how I'm going to do this. See how that whole bushing turns and moves? See, right now it's holding that spring. If I were to just let it go, that spring will shoot out across the room. So you got to be super careful with that spring. There's a lot of pressure on that spring. But you see, as you're pushing that spring down, if this wasn't, if the safety wasn't on, keeping the slide from moving, you would just be pushing and the slide will move back, and you're not going to get anything done. You know what I mean? So it makes it a lot easier. Lock that in, push that in. I'm about halfway off. So I want to keep my finger over that spring so it doesn't shoot out across the room while turning that barrel bushing. Alright, now I'm going to let up on the spring nice and slow, and there you go. Now you can see the barrel bushing is turned completely on about 90 degrees. And then you're going to just pull, you got the plunger that sits on top, and you got the actual spring. Just going to yank on that, pull that out. Now you got your guide rod that's on the inside. That's not going to come out yet. That's normal. That's going to stay in there for now. Now you got this barrel bushing that you push 90 degrees clockwise. Now you can't pull it out. What you got to do is you got to turn it back to the way it originally was, and then go counterclockwise about 45 degrees, and it won't go anymore after that. That's it. So you can hear that. It stops right there. It's got a notch in there. It's not going to let it go anymore. And then you can pull this out. Just like that. Now that you got that off, the only other thing you need to get off now is called the slide stop. and it's the same as the your safety or your slide lock, slide stop, slide lock, same thing. It locks the slide to the rear. So now they get the spring off and there's no pressure on it. You take your safety off and you'll see there's a notch. Not the notch that the slide lock goes to, but this smaller notch in here. You see that? It's real small. That's just for breaking it down. You're going to slide this until you get to where that notch is. Just like that. You can see the top of the safety lever is lined up. I'm sorry, the top of the slide lock is lined up with that small notch. And then from the other side, you have this little dimple sticking out, and that's your slide stop. That's the bar that goes straight through the pistol. So from the other side, you're going to push on that to push this out. You see it raising out like that. Once it starts to come out, just take it out just like that. But it's got to be lined up with that little notch, or the slide is going to be preventing it from coming out because of that little spot at the top there. That's got to be lined up with that notch on the slide so it'll actually come out. You know what I mean? So that's pretty much it. Now you got that out, slide comes forward, comes right off, and then you got everything just sitting there. You got your guide rod and your barrel, and you can see on the barrel that little round opening. That's where your slide stop, that's where you want to go through with the slide stop. That goes through there and it keeps the barrel, you know, from going anywhere inside the gun. So that's your basic breakdown that most people do. Then they'll clean, you know, their firearm, and that's it. You know, they take the slide, the barrel out, you know, basic pistol breakdown. But when I clean, I like to take out the firing pin too. A lot of people don't do that. They say that that's, you know, not necessary, or, you know, you don't have to clean it as often as the rest. I like to clean it all the time, because if you get, you know, that's a small cylinder in there on the inside of this that the firing pin goes into. And if that comes caked up with, you know, carbon, or if you got, you know, cosmoline, like when you first buy your firearm, a lot of companies store firearms with cosmoline on it if they're sitting in a warehouse somewhere for a while. So you don't know what's in there. You want to get all that crap out of there and make sure it's smooth. So I take it out every time. So I'll show you how to do that too. And like I said, all 1911s are basically the same, and a lot of other firearms are the same thing. I did a video on my Taurus. It's the same way to take the pin out. So what you're going to do is you need something to kind of poke the pin, the back side of the pin where the hammer is going to actually hit. Something to poke in there. So I just use this little multi-tool tool right here. But yeah, so inside the slide you have that little round, looks like a little round button. I'm not even sure the name for it, but that's what it is basically. It's a button you can actually push on. It's got a spring in there. Now what you're going to do, this is going to be tricky to show you, but you're going to want to push in on the pin with this in the same direction like if the hammer were to hit it, and you're going to push on that button on the inside of the slide at the same time, and you're going to hold that button down and then push the pin in as far as you can. Once you get it all the way in there, you're going to let go of the button and then pull the tool out, and that's going to hold the pin inside the slide. As you can see, the pin's right there, that little round silver circle right there on the bottom. Now I'm going to hold the button down and push the pin all the way in, and then let up on the button, and then let off on the pin. Now you can't see the pin anymore, so you just see the hole, because it's actually being held in there. See it down in there by that little button. So now that that's held in there, the back right here where I'm touching, I can't tell, I don't know if my camera's good enough to pick it up, but you can see the line in here. This little plate right here slides out this way, and it's not going to slide out if you have that pin sticking out, you know, like your pistol is every day. It's always got that pin just sticking out a little for the hammer to hit. Now that's what's keeping this from sliding out. Once you hold that button, push the pin in and let go of the button so that the pin stays inside the slide, now it has that room where it can just slide right out. So you take a small tool like this one, and you just push it in there, into the hole a little bit, and it slides right up. You see that? Sliding up and out. And that's the little door. Alright, now you take that off, make sure you don't lose that. Now you can see in there, the pin's still in. Now to get that pin out, remember it's got a spring in there, so there's some pressure on it. You're going to push that button to release that pin. But you don't want to just push the button because the pin's going to go flying. You might lose the pin, you might lose the spring. So you always want to keep something over it when you're ready to do it. So you just want to kind of catch it, put your hand over it. It's not going to shoot out crazy where it's going to hurt you or anything. Just put your hand there and then push the button. And you can actually hear it. You can hear it shoot out, and then there's the pin. You just pull your pin out, and that's it. You got the spring, and you got the actual pin. This is what actually hits the primer and, you know, fires off the round. So you're going to clean all that up, clean the spring up. You know, now that you have this opened up, you want to clean in there inside the hole, throw a Q-tip in there, get that all nice. Alright, so once you're done taking everything apart and cleaning it and everything, you want to put it back together. You want to go back through the steps, you know, backwards from the same way we finished. You know, you want to start with the firing pin and work your way all the way back. So you got your firing pin and firing pin spring, your barrel bushing, your guide rod, your slide stop, your buffer spring or recoil spring, and recoil spring plunger, and the door that goes into the back of the slide to hold your firing pin in. Alright, so you're going to grab your firing pin and spring. Alright, pin goes right inside the spring like that. It stays together like that as one piece. And you go back to that hole in the back of the slide again, and you have that button, remember, up top here. You're going to want to hold that button down while you're pushing this firing pin and spring down in there. Okay? You want to get it down just as far as you can, and then let go of the button. I got it right there. You can see it's poking out a little bit. It's not all the way in. You need still need that tool to push it down in there, and then you can lock it in and get that door to slide back in, because you can see I still have that pin sticking out, so that it's not going to let me slide that door down in there. So I'm going to put some pressure on the top of the pin with my little tool and hold that button down, and be careful, because if you slide off, that spring will go flying. So you're going to hold the button down, push the pin down in as far as you can, and slowly release the button and slowly let the pressure off your tool, off of the firing pin. And now I have it down in there. You see it in there, and it's flush with the top, or it's you know, past the opening so that it's not sticking out anymore. So now I have room to slide that little door back in there. See that? And it has that little tab up top. You want that to be facing up. And you're going to slide it down in there just like that. That's it. Now when you push that button, the pin's going to come right back up to its regular position, you know, ready to be used. And it's not going to fly out because you have that door on there, and the pin's tapered, so it's not going to, you know, it has a bigger end on it, so it's not going to fit completely out that hole. So once I hit that button, you're going to hear a click, because the pin's going to shoot up as high as it can go, and it's, you know, going to be in the ready position. Hear that? Now if you look, you can see the back of the pin sticking out, and that's how it looks when your pin is in your slide normally every day. So that's back in, good to go. Now you're going to go back. You're going to grab your barrel and your guide rod. You're going to put those in your slide. First the barrel's going to go through, just like this. It's pretty common sense. It's only going to fit in the one way, just like that, as far back as it goes. And then your guide rod sits right on top. You see it's got that groove at the bottom. That's going to wrap around the barrel. It has that like half moon cut out of it. So it's just going to sit just like that. Alright. Now you have this little piece here that pivots. It's got that round hole. That's what your slide stop is going to go through. This piece. When you actually put it all together, that's going to guide through. So keep that in mind. You're going to need to line this circle up with the hole in the lower receiver of the gun. Alright, so you got that together. Now we're going to take lower receiver. I'm just going to slide it on, just like that. Alright, the parts in there are going to be loose. You know, the barrel and the guide rod, that's normal. Everything will stay together. Slide that back. And as you look through that hole for the slide stop, you'll see when that little circle that's attached to your barrel is lined up with the hole. Alright, you want to find that nice spot, line it up right so you can put that slide stop through. Alright, I'm going to show you from this way because this is the way that's going to actually go in. Now you remember the slide stop is going to go through the side that has the two notches in the slide. You don't want to go the opposite way. That's the wrong side. It only goes on the one side here. So once you find that lined up, which I have it in there, it's probably hard to see. When you're up close with one of these, you'll know what I'm talking about. And you're going to put that slide stop through, just like that. Now it's in there. All right. It's not all the way in. It's dangling down, but you have it in for the most part. You got those holes lined up. Now you're going to swing this up. It's going to go this way, and just get it in the general area of how it's going to go. So you want to look for that little notch. You want to slide that little notch over just to the top of this little slide stop notch. You can see how they line up perfect. Now you're going to push this up in there. It's a little hard. You got to push up because there's, you see this little cylinder here? That's got a spring in it with a pin on each end. One pin is to help with the safety function, and the other pin is to keep this in place. So you heard that click as I pushed up. That was the pin going into this cylinder here that pokes out on the end, and it snaps like that. That's normal. When you have one of these up close, you'll have a better understanding of how it's all going. So now that I have that lined up, that little notch, you're just going to push it in. You hear that click? It went right in. So now when I move this, now you see once that notch leaves that area, this can't come out. You know, and you're never going to be in that position again unless you have the buffer spring and barrel bushing out. So now that that's in, your slide's good. It ain't going anywhere. You know what I mean? It's locked in. Now you just want to get your spring and everything in. Now once you have all that done, you're going to want to put in your barrel bushing and your buffer spring. Alright? The first thing you want to do, you can't put the spring in there first. You got to put in the barrel bushing first. Because when you go down, remember you have those two different ways you could turn. You turn it clockwise to first get the spring out. Then you're going to turn it counterclockwise to get the barrel bushing out. So to put it back together, you got to go back the same way you came. You got to get the barrel bushing down in through the one way counterclockwise, and once that's in, then you'll turn it clockwise and throw the recoil spring in. Alright, so here we got the barrel bushing. Put the barrel bushing in, and you want to go in on that 45-degree angle counterclockwise. It's the same way we came out. And you'll know it's not hard to do because it's got a notch and a little tab sticking out, so it's not going to let you put it in any other way but that right way. Alright, see, I could try, it's not going to work, not going to work. Once I get to that correct position, it's going to fall right down in there. So you'll see what you have to do. It's not hard. So now that that's in there, on a 45-degree angle, just dropped in free. Now I'm going to turn it clockwise to the original position and then past the original position to 90 degrees. So now it's locked in there. It's not coming out because that tab has it down in there, and it's out of the way. See these notches? It's out of the way to where I can get the spring in, and then I'm going to turn it back over, which closes the spring, and then we're good. So we keep it on that 90-degree turn, just like that. Take the spring and the cap, go right over the guide rod on the inside. Now this is like another tricky spot. Yeah, you see how that slid down like that? Now that would be a real pain forcing this down while I do that. See, I forgot to put the safety on. And the second that slid down, I remembered, oh, got to put that safety on and stop that slide from locking. So we're going to slide this up. Slide the slide back up so that we get it to where we can put the safety on, and click, safety's in place. It can't go down anymore. It's going to be a lot easier now. So I'm going to push that spring down and kind of muscle it. And there we go. I'm not completely on, but I'm on enough to where the barrel bushing is holding just the edge of that buffer spring cap. Alright? Now, I just got to push this down a little more to get it all the way in there so that I'm able to turn this completely over it, and these two sides of the bushing are holding down the edges of the cap, which keeps the buffer spring in there. So now I'm going to hold this, use my quarter, use a washer, flathead screwdriver or something, whatever's easier for you, just to get it down there, and then I'm going to slide the door over. Let me see it. See, I got it over the top now, so it's holding it. Now it's going to slide, and you're going to hear it snap up into place. That's it. See that? See how it sits like that? It just holds it down like a little claw, holds the cap down. And that's it. Alright, any questions, comments, or anything? Just leave me one below. I'm going to be trying to make a lot more videos now. I'm getting back into it again. I've been gone for a while. But yeah, thanks for the comments and everything. Take care.